get started here with our, we have a Facebook page. So I don't know if some of you out there have already liked our Facebook page or not. If you go ahead and go onto Facebook and like Trinity Lutheran Preschool, it's a very good way for us to keep updated. So I will put notifications on Facebook. I will put reminders on Facebook. If you would turn around and look at Ashley's beautiful shirt, that's the logo for our Facebook page. Okay, so there is another Trinity Lutheran Preschool in Marysville. Don't like that page. I get lots of things that say, well, it wasn't on the page, and then I get people that are messaging me saying, but this isn't on the schedule. Different, so that logo for the Facebook page. Okay. Anything that's on the Facebook page, you'll get reminders. Our field trips, any changes in the schedules, those kinds of things will all be on the Facebook page. Now, when you came in, you'll notice everybody has different colored folders. Okay, so if your folder is yellow, that means you have a toddler in the toddler program. If you have a green folder, you have a 3-year-old. If you have a red folder, you have a 4-year-old. If you have a blue folder, you have a 3 or a 4-year-old, but you are in the afternoon only program. Okay, so if you have the wrong color folders, then that will be, let me know so that we can take care of it. Okay. So right away, if we can go ahead and start with, we'll get the elephant out of the room here and talk about COVID real fast. So, this is per the governor's mandate, masks need to be worn in the building. Okay. So when you're coming in to drop off your children, pick up your children, you will need to be wearing masks. Children do not need to wear masks. The staff will be wearing masks or our beautiful shields. Okay. And the reason that we wear a shield over a mask is so that the children can see our faces, especially when we're trying to bond with a child, when we're trying to teach a child letter sounds, teaching children to speak. They need to be able to see our mouths move. So we will be wearing either masks or shields. And then the parents will need to be wearing masks in and out of the building. When we're coming here for any events, at this point, our Christmas programs, our graduations and everything like that, if the mandate is that you have to wear a mask indoors, then we will be requiring that you wear a mask indoors. Okay? As far as actual changes in our program, we really don't have that many changes to our program. We were already doing all of the cleaning and sanitizing and things that are required of us. We've done things last year that have implemented so that this year things are just going smoothly and we're doing the same things that we've always done. Okay? It is extremely important that if your child is exposed, has a direct exposure to COVID, they have to stay home and quarantine for 10 days. Okay? And then it is also very important. We used to let children come to school with a cold because children get colds, children get sick. Now we have to make sure that they don't have COVID, that they just have a cold. Okay, so if your child I have posters up that you need to self-check your child before they come to school. They can't have a fever, runny nose, coughing, sneezing, that kind of thing. Now, that being said, children get colds. And 3 and 4-year-olds are prone to get this cough that lasts for months after they're cold. All I need to know is that they've been tested for COVID and that their doctor has said that they don't have COVID, that they're fine to come to school. And then they can come into school with those issues, okay? That being said, in general, a child needs to be fever-free, vomit-free, diarrhea-free for 24 hours without medication to be in school. So that doesn't mean you can't give them Tylenol in the morning and say they don't have a fever. They have to be 24 hours without medication to come back to school. Okay? We will be social distancing in our hallways when we're picking up children and dropping off children. The idea is that we limit the exposure to the child as much as possible. So children will be put into what we call pods. In other words, they will go in with their class and they will only merge with their class. They won't merge with any other classes. When we are doing drop-off, we're trying to keep the 3-year-old parents and the 4-year-old parents separated as much as we can so that parents aren't commingling in the building too much. As far as drop-off and pickup, drop-off, we're going to have the children will come in. We will take the children at pickup time. You'll be able to go into the cubby rooms and get their stuff out of their cubbies, but parents are not allowed per the mandates to go into the classrooms. So we have to keep the parents back out of the classrooms. That being said, they're your children, and if you have a question about what's going on in a classroom, you need to contact me, and we will make arrangements for you to be able to come in and see a classroom, to go into a classroom to find out what's happening. I am in no way telling you that you cannot come in and see your child or know what's going on in their classes, okay? So it's just that the mandate says we're not allowed to have the parents walk through like we used to, okay? Does anybody have any questions for COVID? Yes, ma'am. Yes, for orientation, we are not allowed to stay and play like we used to. We used to open it up for an hour and a half. Kids could come in and play and mingle with staff, mingle with other kids. Orientation now will be a walkthrough. So you'll bring your child in. You'll say, this is the potty. This is where you're going to hang your coat. This is where you're going to put your lunch. This is where you're going to play. All the teachers will be there so that they can meet all of their teachers, and then they will go. Because we can't, that's too many children to have all mixed together without having them in their groups. But they will be able to walk through and see everyone, meet all the teachers. Parents will be able to talk with the staff. And so we have a whole bunch of staff. They're not here tonight. I only have 2 of my staff members here tonight. We technically have 18 staff members here that work all through the toddlers, 3s, and the 4s. So they will all be here on Friday for everyone to meet. Okay? Any other questions? Okay. As I talk, I'm just going to keep talking and talking forever. Anytime you have any questions, just raise your hand and I will take care of that, okay? Okay. So if you're wanting some of the tuition, so what I'm going to do is start doing some of the things out of your parent handbook. If you want to look in there, if you don't, you can just look at it later at home. Tuition is due on the 1st of the month and late on the 10th of the month unless other arrangements have been made. So if you get paid on the 15th, you need your tuition date to be on the 15th, then you just need to let me know. I can code that account for the accountant and you won't have any late charges. If ever there's any type of financial issues, you just need to talk to me so that I can talk with the accountant and we can work things out. Okay. I am always available to talk to. It is very, very, very busy at drop-off and pickup time. All I need you to do is walk up to me and say, I need to talk to you for a minute, and I will make myself available. Okay? Or call on the phone, email, Facebook message, anything like that. I'm always available to talk to, even though I'm all over the place. Okay? So tuition is also figured on an annual fee, and then we break it down into 9 monthly payments. So those months that we don't have a full month of tuition, the full tuition amount is still due. We do not do snow makeup days. So if we have a closed school for snow, we don't do a snow makeup day. For snow, we follow the Mount Vernon School District closures for school. Okay, so if Mount Vernon is late, if Mount Vernon is closed, we are closed. End of story. If your child is in a morning class and Mount Vernon is 2 hours late, the morning class is canceled. If your child is in an afternoon class or an all-day program, school will start at 11:30. Okay? And that I will also post on the Facebook page in the morning for what that is if you don't watch TV for the schedule of that. School will open at 9 o'clock. So the doors are closed until 9 o'clock. We will open the doors, and then there's a stop sign on the door. We'll turn it to go, and then the children will be able to come in for school. We cannot be using the back doors of the building due to the mandates of the one-way hallways and how we're flowing the parents and children through the building. If you're going to be picking up early, or if you're on your way here and you're stuck behind the train and you're going to be late, just give me a phone call and let me know that. And especially if you're picking up early, we need to know that so we can have your child ready for you when you get here. Okay? Now, dropping off. We've talked about the procedure of how to drop them off. We haven't talked about what happens when they're screaming when you drop them off. Okay? The process is always best to drop and go. Okay? It's very difficult to leave your child if they're upset, but the best way is to drop them and let our staff take care of them. If you drag the drop off out, it just drags their whole feelings out. Okay? We will take them. We're going to love them and cuddle them and take care of all their needs, make sure they're safe and sound. That will help them actually come back to school better the next time because they're going to start to trust us and have faith in us. Okay? It's very, very hard for mommies and daddies to do that. So if a mommy or a daddy needs to drop their child off and then go drop off and then come back and sit out here on a bench and have me come and tell you that they're no longer upset when they're done crying, that they're adjusting, that they're doing well, that's completely fine. Okay? We will not allow a child to go and just cry and cry and cry. They're not benefiting from school if they're that upset. Then what we would do is if you're coming in and the child is inconsolable, I will come and get you. You will come back and say, "School's over. What a great day you had. How was your day?" Okay, and then the next day you're going to bring it back and we're going to do it again. And eventually they will come into school. I've never had to do that because they usually just stop crying. It's so much fun to have all these toys to play with and the kids to play with, that they adjust very well. Okay, does anybody have any questions on that? No? Great. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is their clothing. Please dress your child appropriate for the weather. Okay? Tank tops in January are tough. Okay? We are going to go outside as much as we absolutely can. Your child needs a coat. Whether it's nice outside or not, they need to bring a jacket or a coat, depending on the season. Okay? It's real easy to use TeacherJulie as an excuse. TeacherJulie says you have to have it. If they don't want to put it on, that's fine. They have to bring it. Because when I line them up, I've got 16 kids in a row. And if you want to go outside, you put your coat on. If you don't want to put your coat on, you don't get to go outside. There's no argument. They put their coat on, we go outside. Okay? So bring a coat every day. Please no flip-flops and sandals. Okay? When we go out to the playground, it's rocks. Okay? That's gravel on the playground. And then all of their toy structures are in 9 inches of pea gravel. And sandals and flip-flops and pea gravel really don't mix well. We need to have a spare change of clothes for every child. So what I ask is that you take a Ziploc bag, a Walmart bag, anything, pants, socks, underwear, shirt, write their name on it, put it in their cubby, and it stays there until they need it. Your child does not share a cubby with anyone, so their cubby is their cubby. You'll put your clothes in there and they can stay there. We have a lot of reasons for extra clothes. The biggest one is the potty accident, okay? But we also have, we drink out of cups for snack and at lunchtime if they don't bring juice or their own water bottles. So sometimes they spill their water on themselves. Sometimes they spill it on their neighbor. Sometimes we need a change of clothes if they were the first one to go down the slide outside. Okay, it just happens. So to talk a little bit about potty accidents, if your child is completely potty trained but newly potty trained, and even some 4-year-olds that have been potty trained for over a year will have accidents when they come to school. Okay, the reason for that is they're not comfortable yet. Sometimes they don't know who to ask to go potty. They don't know where the potty is. They forgot where the potty is. They're having so much fun playing that they didn't realize they had to go that bad, and they have an accident on the way to the potty. So we will work with them and talk with them. You can help out by talking to them and telling them that if they have to go potty, they need to tell their teacher. Okay? If I didn't know who to tell, you tell your teacher that you need to go potty, and then they will go potty. As far as going potty, 3-year-olds are always taken to the potty by a staff member. Okay, toddlers and 3s will be taken. 4s will be taken until we know whether or not they can go on their own or not. Okay, and we will stay with them. We will help with pants up and down. You can help us by not sending your child in a belt. Okay, because when we've waited till the last minute and now we're trying to undo a belt, we have problems. Overalls sometimes are problems. Please don't send newly potty training 3-year-olds in a onesie. Okay, those kinds of things will help us get them to the bathroom faster so that they don't have their accidents. Suspenders. No suspenders. They're cute. Now, we will have picture day in October. In the middle of October is school picture day. You can dress them in whatever you want, as cute as you want on picture day, and we will keep them. We're going to have snack that's not colorful, anything. We're not going to paint. We're not going to glue. We'll make sure we're on the potty patrol really, really good, and you can dress them in what you want for pictures. Otherwise, play clothes is actually best. We're going outside, we're painting, we're gluing, we're running around, those kinds of things. So comfortable, easy up and down play clothes are the best for kids. We will require that they wear their shoes while they're at school. Reasons for that is safety. Okay, I don't want their toes run over by shopping carts or something dropped on their toes. If we have a fire drill or something like that we have to get the kids out quickly, they need their shoes on. So we no longer have dress-up shoes here in the school. We have them wear their own shoes. Now, when they're coming with their extra clothes and their lunch boxes and their backpacks, and we'll talk about bike day here in a few minutes. Bike day, anytime your child comes to school with anything extra, they need to have their name on it. Okay? So if you bought a bicycle at Costco, chances are 3 other parents here bought a bike at Costco, and they all look the same. Okay? So your name on everything is important. Water bottles, backpacks, little hats that they come in, all need their name on them. Helmets, when they come in, have to have a name on them so that we know who goes with what. When you have 2 children standing there screaming that that's mine because they're 2 and 3 and everything they see that looks like what they have at home is theirs, we need to know whose it really is. Okay? So names on everything. Lunch boxes, water bottles, hats, bikes, everything. Backpacks. Inside their coat, you can put their name. This coat belongs to, and write their name on it. That will help us make sure. The other thing is, please don't send anything special to school with your child. The medal that your brother got in the war and brought home is not something you give to a 4-year-old to bring to school because he takes it out on the playground and gives it to a friend. Okay? Hats, sunglasses, watches, the new watches. They love to get new watches when they're 3 and 4 for their birthdays, and they have these fun little characters on them, and they don't wear them more than an hour here at school, and then they get lost. Okay? So all those special fun things, it's best if they don't come to school. Okay? And then we will move on. Let's see, we're going to move on to food. We will be, the school provides a morning snack for all children. Okay? If your child is here for lunch, then parents will provide their lunch for them. You will bring their lunch. Bring them something they're used to eating. If your child doesn't eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at home, they're not going to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches here at school. Okay. We do have microwaves where we can heat food up. So generally on Wednesdays, we get a lot of leftover pizza because Tuesday night pizzas come in, so Wednesday we get leftovers and we can heat food up. We can heat their leftover macaroni and cheese and their leftover spaghettis and things like that. We do not have the ability to cook things. So the cups of macaroni and cheese that take 3.5 minutes to cook, if I have 3 of those come in, children don't have time. We don't have time to cook them all and have them all eaten. So if you make that at home, put it in a dish, we're happy to heat it up and give it to your child. Okay. We also have a refrigerator and a freezer that we can put things in if necessary to keep them for lunch. Okay. If your child has any type of food allergy or restriction that I have not talked about you with tonight, please see me after here so that we can clarify any allergies or any food restrictions that they might have. Okay? If the child needs an EpiPen, those EpiPens will be kept in my office. No children will ever be anywhere near an EpiPen. Okay? Lunches do need to be nutritious, so just remember that they're going to need to go another 2.5 hours after lunch here in school. You need to feed their little bodies something that's going to last them through the day. Okay? As far as Lunchables, the kids seem to really like Lunchables. The only ones the teachers really don't care for are the pizza Lunchables. Those are very tough because we have to open the bread, and then we have to open the sauce, and then we have to open the cheese, and then we have to heat them up. So if the child can't do that on their own, please send them with a different kind of Lunchable. Okay? And I know I sound terrible and we're putting all these restrictions, but when you have 16 children in a room trying to eat lunch, it's different than taking care of one at home. Okay? Birthday treats. Parents are more than welcome to bring in birthday treats for their students. We have something called show and tell. Okay? And your child will always have show and tell on their birthday. If they happen to have a June, July, or August birthday, they're going to get a half birthday in January, February, and March. January and February. So that they will get a half birthday so that they can have a birthday in school also. You're more than welcome to bring just about anything for a birthday treat other than a chocolate cupcake. Please do not bring a chocolate cupcake. They are, if you wonder why a chocolate cupcake tastes real good, take a chocolate cupcake and smear it on the table and a white cupcake and smear it on the table, and you'll see why. Which one cleans up the easiest? Chocolate cupcakes are good. Chocolate frosting is fine, just not the cake. Okay. It does not have to be a cupcake. You do not have to bring in a birthday treat at all. If you choose to, it does not have to be a cupcake. It can be a Rice Krispie treat. It can be a cookie. It can be a donut. It can be any type of thing that the child wants to bring. I've had children bring in little packets of bunny crackers for their birthday treat. Fruit roll-ups, whatever, fruit snacks, whatever the child wants to bring for a birthday treat is fine. Does not have to be a cupcake. Okay, so you are going to get, for show and tell, You're going to also get a monthly calendar. On that calendar, you should all have calendars in your folders. Toddler's calendar is blue. Toddlers and 3s are blue. 4s should be green. It should have been in the front of your folder. If your child's name is on the calendar, that means it is show and tell. That means that they get to bring something special from home. This is their time to bring a toy from home or a special rock that they found in the parking lot on the way here. Show and tell should be something that the child wants to bring, is excited to bring. It might mean nothing to you, but if that's what they want to bring for their show and tell, then that's what they should bring for show and tell. Okay? We do not allow live pets for show and tell. Anything else is pretty open. No live pets and no weapons are not allowed to come in for show and tell. But we get babies and Pokemons and everything else that there is out there for show and tell. And if you put it in a backpack or in a plastic bag, they get to bring it all in and they're so excited, and the rest of the class tries to guess what they've brought for show and tell. It's a big deal. Then they get to take it out and show the class their show and tell, their special thing, and then it goes back into their cubby. Okay, they don't get to play with it all day. It goes back in the cubby so it doesn't get lost. One item for show and tell, not their bedroom. Okay, just one thing. So other than that, we're asking that you please keep all of their toys at home. If they're having a meltdown and it needs to stay in the car, that's fine. If they're having an even bigger meltdown, they can talk to TeacherJulie at drop-off, and TeacherJulie at drop-off will take it and say, you know what, I'm going to keep it safe for you while you're in school, and I'll just take it, and they'll go up for school. Okay? But please leave their items at home. Also on your monthly calendar, if it is their birthday will be on there. You'll see that kids have birthdays. If your child has an early September birthday and is not on the show and tell calendar, please see me afterwards and we will take care of that. Okay. In October, I just firmed up our pumpkin patch field trip, so we are going to be able to go on a pumpkin patch field trip this year. That is going to be on October 20th, and so when you get your October calendar, it's going to have pumpkin patch on there, and then about a week to 10 days before the field trip, I will give you an additional letter that will explain all of the details of that field trip. Where to go, what time to go. Field trips, parents are required to come on the field trips with their children. So either the parent, the grandparent, the auntie, the neighbor. We do not provide transportation. Somebody needs to bring your child to the field trip, stay with your child, and then take your child home from the field trip. Okay? Anything else of importance will be put on the calendar. So when we start our fundraisers, when we're doing bike day, when we're doing picture day, if we're doing a Halloween party, all of those things will be put on your monthly calendar. I will be standing there handing out monthly calendars at the end of every month. If you don't get one, for the 4-year-olds, there is a shelf by the tuition box. Always there will be an extra stack of extra calendars there. For the 3-year-olds, right before you go into the cubby room on the outside of the door will be a box with extra calendars so that you can go in and grab a calendar if you didn't get one or if you need a spare. Okay? We will go on Mount Vernon school calendar for our holidays, our Christmas break, our spring break, Thanksgiving break, those kinds of things. We will not do half days or in-service days. So if Mount Vernon now has half-day Wednesdays. So we go till 2:30 on Wednesdays just like normal. We're not going to do their half days. If they have a teacher in-service day, we will still have school, even though Mount Vernon is having an in-service day. Okay. We're going to take 2 half days for the year. The first half day is going to be the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. and that will be written on your calendar. So we will get out. School will close at 11:30 on Wednesday. The second one will be in March, where we do our most loved Chuck E. Cheese field trip. Okay? So the field trips, most field trips are paid for by the school. Chuck E. Cheese is the only one that parents will pay for. All of the rest of the field trips that we go on, the preschool will pay for the field trip for the student. We'll talk, I'll go back there in just a second. So we'll have a half day on that day. So they'll come to school at 11:30. We'll quit. We'll go to Chuck E. Cheese. We'll have pizza. They can get a 2-hour game card, and then they go home from there. Okay? Field trip days take the place of school. So there will be no school on the other days except for Chuck E. Cheese. Any of the other days, they will not have school. So that when we go to the pumpkin patch on October 20th, with the way COVID works, I have to take every class. So I will be at the pumpkin patch with the class at 9:30, with the class at 10, with the class at 10:30, with the class at 11. So there's no school those days. So that's how we're having to break the days up. So the field trip takes the place of school that day. Okay. I had somewhere I was going to go backwards. Now I can't remember. That's where I was going to go. Thank you. So if you have a younger sibling or an older homeschooled sibling that needs to go on a field trip with us, they are welcome to go. They just have to pay the cost of that field trip. And then if you give that to me, I will count that in because I always get a discount for taking a bulk amount of students. So like when we go roller skating, it's $5 to roller skate. So your child, the preschool child is paid for, your extra child would cost $5. Okay. They're more than welcome to come. Babies in a backpack, in a sling, in a stroller at the pumpkin patch, those kinds of things are more than welcome to come. They don't cost anything. It's if you want your child to participate in the activity that's going on. Okay. And then somebody said something here. Okay, so if you happen to have 2 children in the school, which there's quite a few of you that do, you get the lucky choice of picking one. Okay, so this child's going to go at this time, this one's going to go at this time, pick one. Generally, it's better to pick the older child because the older child is going to have more bonded friendships than the younger child. The younger child, they're 2 and they're 3 and they have friends, and everywhere they go, they have friends. The whole room is their friends. The 4-year-olds tend to actually make friends. And you'll see with the 4-year-olds that not only do we make friends, but you get to start these wonderful things called play dates. Okay? And so that's I don't know where that's on my list, but we'll talk about that right now. So when you have in your packet, you have a packet that was on the right-hand side that has the first page being a medical authorization form. That packet I need back from you for your child to start school. Okay? The first page of that packet is a medical authorization to treat your child in case of an emergency. So if I have to call for a medic, I need that form so that I can have that child seen by a medic. Okay? The second page, or the back page of that, is who is and is not allowed to pick my child up from school. Okay? So, if we have any custody issues out there, you cannot just write a parent's name down that they are not allowed to pick the child up. Okay? I actually have to have paperwork from the courts that say that they can't, or by law, I have to release them to a parent. Okay? If there's anybody else that you don't want picking up your child, then that's where you would put that on your form. If there is custody paperwork, you definitely need to put that on the form, and then I have to have a copy of that. Okay? That being said, you're now 3 months into the school year, and we need to have this play date. Okay? All I need from you is a phone call, a note, an email, a Facebook message. My child is going home with so-and-so. That's all I need is some permission to let them go. Okay? So-and-so's mom can't come up to me and said, well, we planned this, so I'm going to take her home. We can't do it that way. I have to have your permission to send them home with somebody that's not on the list. Okay? There's going to be a time that something happens. There's an emergency. There's something that somebody on the list isn't going to be on your list that you're going to want to come pick your child up. Again, a phone call, an email, something like that to let me know I'm giving permission for so-and-so to pick my child up from school today. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on that? Nope. Great. Okay. The next page in that packet is an acknowledgement of risk of COVID form that you have to sign. Just that we're going to do the very best we can to protect your child from COVID, but there is a risk by coming to school. Okay? The back page is an immunization form, so I need to have the immunization forms filled out and turned in also. You do not have to have your immunization form on the first day of school. Some of you will have their books. I can take a copy of their book. Some of you will have to get that information from your pediatrician. So if you call the pediatrician, they can mail it here to the school. They can email it to me. You can go pick it up and bring it in, however that needs to be. Bring the rest of the packet and then bring me the immunization forms when you get them. Okay? So bike day, we're going to have something. I mentioned bike day when we talked about the calendar. Bike day we will do in September. We'll see how October goes, what the weather's like in October, and then we'll do again in April and May. So bike day is when we bring their bicycles, their scooters, their any kind of outdoor riding toy to school. We corner off the back parking lot. They put their outdoor activity, their helmet, and they just ride their bikes. They love bike day. Okay? Toddlers. If you have a yellow folder and you have a toddler, your toddler will not do bike day. That's a 3 and 4 year old activity. Okay? And we do that, like I said, just in the fall and the spring. In your form, you also have a t-shirt order. It's a purple piece of paper. So if you want your child to have a Trinity Lutheran preschool shirt like the staff has, they're available for purchase. Nothing is a requirement there. Book orders, we do Scholastic book orders. I have them available on the counter when you leave. They're on the left-hand side. They're on a little table there. So if you want a Scholastic book order, you can pick one up. Scholastic, for some of you have older children and know what those are. For those of you that don't, Scholastic, you probably had it when you were a child. The teacher sends home the pamphlet and you get to mark what books you want. They're generally a cheaper book that you get them at a discounted price by going through the school. And then the school earns points that's how I purchase our new books, is by using the points from the Scholastic books. You can take a paper form, or you can go online to scholastic.com and put in the school's code, and you can order online if you want to do books. Nothing is required. It's just there as an option if you want it. And then fundraisers. So we do fundraisers here. We do 2 a year. We do one in the fall and one in the spring. And what we do is sell Little Caesars pizza. Little Caesars pizza kits. And so you order them. They come cold, frozen. And then you order them. You give the form to all your family and your friends, and they order as many pizzas as we can. We get $6 for every pizza that's sold. So when they sell them, they sell 3 medium pizzas for $21. So it's about the same price that you get to go to Little Caesars and buy pizza. Again, that's a fundraiser that we use to supplement our income, but it is not a required thing. If you don't want to sell pizza, you don't have to sell pizza. Okay? Something here, discipline is always a fun thing to talk about. So us here at school, we are not going to have the same discipline issues that you have at home. We don't have the special buttons that parents have, okay? So that when they push ours, it doesn't work as well as when they push mommy's and daddy's. we try our best for natural consequences here at the school. So when a child is playing in the sandbox and they're pouring sand on the floor, okay, please don't throw sand on the floor. We don't pour sand on the floor. We need to keep the sand in the sandbox. I asked you please not to pour sand on the floor. Please keep it in the sandbox. Sweetheart, if you pour sand on the floor one more time, you're not going to get to play in the sandbox anymore. I'm sorry. We're not playing in the sandbox anymore today. Let's make a better choice tomorrow. Okay? That's the extent of what we're going to do. If they're having a problem with a toy, then the toy might have to go away. So if we have a truck that's running through the room and the truck isn't supposed to run through the room, if the truck doesn't slow down, the truck is going to have to go to the garage. I'm sorry that the truck needs to go to the garage for the rest of the day. We'll get him back out tomorrow. Redirect. Natural consequences and redirection. That's what we're going to work at the most as far as discipline goes. A lot of the children, especially the toddlers and the threes, a lot of them have never been in any social situation, especially now that we're coming off the COVID, the way that they've been sheltered at home. So a lot of them don't know socially acceptable behavior. They don't know that it's not okay to walk up and hit somebody. Okay. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about what's okay and what's not okay. We're not allowed to hit. Hitting hurts. We don't hit our friends. We keep our hands to ourselves. We're going to spend some time talking to kids about that. If that doesn't work, then we're going to do the same thing. If you hit somebody else, you're going to have to sit down for a minute. Okay, I need you to sit down here for just a minute because you were hitting. About 30 seconds or so is all it usually takes because they're watching all those other kids play. It's torture to have to sit down here, okay? Remember, we talked about it. We can't hit. Are you ready to get up and go play without hitting? Great, let's go do that. If you hit again, though, you're going to have to come and sit back down in the chair. 2 or 3 times and they're done. We don't usually have those problems, okay? If your child gets sent to timeout, has to sit in a chair for something, I am going to tell you about that when you pick your child up from school. Okay. I am not telling you so that you can go home and punish your child. I've already taken care of it. The problem is done. We can forget about it. I just want you to know so that after their bath and their story and they're getting into bed and they say, Mommy, I had to go to timeout today. You what? Now you can reinforce it if they bring it up. Yeah, we're not supposed to hit at school. That's not a good thing. Otherwise, it happened hours ago and we took care of it. And I really want to stress, I don't like it when a child gets talked to or things after the fact because they're 2 and 3, their memory of what happened 3 hours ago is gone. Okay, so I'm telling you for your knowledge and if it comes up later for you to deal with it that way. Okay, if something persists and I need to talk to you about that, then I will call you in and we'll have a talk about this. We've done this, and this, and it's not working. What do you do at home? How can you help? How can we help each other stop this behavior? That'll be different, okay? Otherwise, that's discipline. Does anybody have any questions on discipline? Oh, you guys are good. Okay. So a couple other things that helps us with discipline is to make sure your child has breakfast before they come to school. If they come to school hungry, they get hangry, and we have some issues. So if they have their have breakfast before they come to school. Also, if you're having a family thing at home, it really helps me to know if there's something going on at home. If parents are having problems, if grandma's sick in the hospital, if the doggy died yesterday, those kinds of things, because children will act out because they don't know how to handle their emotions yet. So if I know that they're having trouble at home or I know that there's something happening at home, I can sit down and cuddle with that child instead of giving them a different kind of discipline. Okay? Or when they blurt out at circle time, we know what to expect. We have an answer ready for them about their puppy. those kinds of things. So if there's some home situations, and anything that you tell me will be confidential, it's just that will help us to deal with some of those emotions that 2, 3, and 4-year-olds don't really quite know how to handle yet. Okay. Back to things that when they are sick, children do tend to get sick quickly and recover quickly in general. Okay, so if you send your child to school, she's perfectly fine, running around the house. By 11 o'clock, she's lethargic, has a fever, whatever. I'm going to call you. You're going to come and get her right away. Okay, so that being said, on your emergency forms, I'm going to call the parents first, and then I'm going to call the emergency contact. Okay, so parents, if you change your phone numbers, please tell me. Okay, so that I can update that on our forms. Another thing that is not, we are a no-knit school, meaning that the child cannot come to school with active lice. Okay, the school districts allow that now. We do not. So if your child has active lice, they are not allowed to come into school until they've been treated and they have no nits. We have to discuss it, but there we go. We're done with that one. What's that? Oh, you're just crawling? Yes. It is not a disease. It does not interfere with their learning. Therefore, they are now no longer making children go home from school if they have lice. So, I'm not that good at dealing with it yet, so they get to go home. So we work in a petri dish here at the preschool. I mean, we have germs, we have snot, we have drool, we have everything, and we can deal with all of those kinds of things. Another thing that'll happen that I didn't talk about earlier, especially with COVID, we used to do it just once a day. Now we do it every time they change rooms, is that your child's hands will be sanitized with hand sanitizer every time they leave the room. So every time they go into a new room, their hands are sanitized. That just helps keep down on some of the extra germs. And it's not just COVID, it's flu, it's the colds, it's just germs. Every time their nose is blown, they're going to have their hands washed. So if your child has eczema on their hands, that's something that we need to talk about so that I can work some other kind of application for that child. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Anything we haven't covered yet? So the only drills that we do with children are fire drills. Okay. They don't have a concept of any of the other kinds of drills that are happening. The staff and I have a plan for that, but the children aren't involved in that at all. Our fire plan and our any evacuation, any earthquake, flood, gas explosions, fires, anything like that, we will meet out in the big field. So the playground is out there, and that big field out there, the church owns that. So that's our meeting place. That's where we will go to be out of the building. Outside in the playground, locked in the playground, we have emergency water, emergency food, and emergency blankets. So if something were to happen in January that we had to go out there, we have a way to we have the covered area, we have a way to keep the children covered and warm. Okay. As far as locking ourselves in, yes, we have areas that we can go to do that. Did that answer that sufficiently for you? Okay. Does anybody have any other questions about that, or something else? So the front door is open, because, and it's open, and then the downstairs one is locked after drop off, and we lock it and then we open it back up before pickup. The front door of the church is open. And so that's one reason where if you're going to be coming early, we need to know so that I can make sure that those accesses into the building are available. I do not need to have them on file. If you take your child to be tested and they end up having COVID, I need a phone call immediately. And the health department will also let me know, but they don't usually let me know for a couple of days later. If a parent tests, so if a parent tests positive for COVID, the child has to stay home for 10 days. Okay. If a child tests positive for COVID, again, they need to stay home for 10 days. If a child is in school and has been in school and tests positive, then that class has to stay home for 10 days. Okay. Until the mandates change. That's what it is right now. I heard today that Burlington School District, and this is what I heard, so I haven't read it. I'm going to research it today, is that if a child in the high school tests positive, that the other children just go on a watch list. So if that's the case, then we would be able to do that. So I'm going to be looking into that. And if there's something other than a 10-day quarantine for a child in the same class with another child, then I will post that and make that available. But at this time, if a child is in school and has COVID, then the class has to quarantine for 10 days. We were extremely lucky last year. We did not have any COVID cases during the school year. We had one over Christmas break and one over spring break. So we got very, very, very lucky. We're hoping for the same this year. So, and then there was another hand up back here. Yes. We've never really had to deal with that. We've had a couple of power outages, but we are actually right close to the hospital, so we're on the power grid that gets power back the fastest. We cannot operate school without power. We can't be here without functioning lights, water, heat, those kinds of things. So I would say that that's probably dependent on the time of year and the time of day that the power goes out. I would have to make that call at that time. So if it is something that we have to close the school down, I will put that on Facebook immediately. That's really my fastest, easiest way to get to the most parents at one time. Okay, so if there's ever any question of things, check Facebook in the morning. Okay. Okay. I don't think there's anything else that I need to go over. So if there are parents here that have not seen the school, well, I'd say, I am usually very, very quick at learning faces and what child goes with what face. Last year took me a little bit longer. This year it's going to take the same. When I only get to see the eyes, it's hard. So bear with me. We will know your child's name by the end of the first day of school. Okay? But with parents, it might take us a couple of days to get used to this. Okay? If anybody would like to talk to me after here, personally, I'll stay here if anybody needs me. If there's parents here that have not seen the school that would like to walk through the school, if your child is a toddler or a 3-year-old, you may go with Miss Ashley here in the back. If your child is a 4-year-old or a 4-year-old afternoon child, Miss Venus would be happy to take you down and show you around. Okay? Thank you all for coming. We're going to have a fabulous year.